Hello all. As promised, I'm making videos to questions you guys ask. Some of the questions are really good questions, and I have to think about how to answer some of them carefully, but I will get them all. I actually, to tell you how serious I am about this, I made an Excel spreadsheet to put everybody's information and the questions that they're asking so I don't get lost. So just wanted to let everybody know, thank you very much for contributing, liking, loving, positiveness towards this endeavor, whatever you want to call this, I don't even know. But this is really fun. I want to have a lot of fun with this, and I want to see how things go. I may make a long video or make short videos to answer everybody individually. I haven't decided. There are one or two people that I do have to just do a whole video on the questions they asked, or because she asked 9 questions, but it's cool. So let me start here. So my buddy Dom put the question, how in the world did I ever get started doing this kind of work? The world wants to know. Well, Dom, I don't know if the world wants to know, but we'll start here with the video, and I don't think the world will see it, but whoever needs to see it will see it. Ray on TikTok put, what got you into this field of work? I appreciate the question, Ray. Now, Ray is my daughter, but thank you. So let's start there. Let's start with, how did I start? So since I was a kid, I was always able to see spirit, hear spirit. I was just, I'll tell you my process for energy. So there's a story about my cat Mittens, and Mittens came back and she was scratched up. The crazy cat lady had like 20 cats. So I think Mittens pissed somebody off, and then they all got her. But she was coming back, she was limping back with one paw up, breathing heavy, bleeding, like she was exhausted, half a meow. And I remember, I must have been about 3 or 4 years old, and I remember I gently picked her up and I held her. And when I did that, this is going back to a memory, a remembrance, and I'll get to that at another time, but let me just tell this tale. I always see a big ball of light. It's always there. And I asked the big ball of light to help me, to help the person, the space, the animal. The ball of light moves over me, the energy flows through. It's always been that way. And so we did that for Mittens, and we just held her. We gently put her down on her pillow. The next morning, there were 3 gifts from her, 3 birds, and that cat was in between my legs, in and out of my legs, and she was like a dog. She would walk me to a certain part going to school, and then she would wait for me when I was coming home for school, and we would walk back home, and she would just be my cat. And that was awesome. Even to this day, I still see the ball of light. Now, there was a whole time where I wasn't able to see the ball of light, from like 8 years old to 2004. So I'll figure out the years one day. I'll get the calculator out, but this isn't the time for that. And in the remembrance, when I started to remember everything, and that's a story, like I said, for another time, I was able to really have fun and have time trying to remember how I did that. But at 8 years old, I didn't want to see anything anymore. I just wanted to close everything down. I just wanted to be a regular person. I just wanted to be a regular kid. what happened was 4 kids that were my friends started making fun of me, and they got me mad. So then, me being mad, I started telling them all what was going to happen. So it's like, in 2 days, your brother's going to, be at dinner and say this. Your mother's going to drop a plate. Your father's going to say this. It wasn't anything crazy, but it all happened. So on the 3rd day, when I went into school, it's like the kids were like partying like the Red Sea, and I was already struggling with weight, and at the time, one of 2 Hispanic families, so I just wanted to be accepted. For the most part, everybody was cool because nobody knows any better, but it really hurt me that I couldn't be a regular kid because they didn't want to hang out with me. They didn't want to talk with me. So every time I was getting information, I was like, no, I don't want to hear you. No, I was just pushing it away. I didn't want to hear it. I was ignoring it. And then eventually it started to fade. It never went away, but it faded. The only way they were able to communicate with me as I grew up when I needed information was when something was about to happen. They would yell at me or actually push my foot or something crazy like that. Push my foot down in the gas to get my car out of the way. So it wasn't until 2004, story there, where I ended up in Sedona, got a guide, went to the vortexes. We did some breathing exercise. Next thing I know, she wants us to expand our energy. I shot through a portal, went into the sun and kept on going. And I just started seeing all these visuals and images and memories. That's where Mittens came in. And it was super intense, to say it lightly. I didn't know how to act or how to be, but it was trippy. And I came back and I just could see things different. And this is 2004, and I was a super skeptic at that point. I still loved like metaphysical stuff and all the cryptid stuff and all that. I was always into it, but I just didn't act or plan or do. So it's like, here we are, and I have all this stuff. And so that was a big turning point for me in that remembrance, where I explored for myself. I explored a lot. I took a lot of time to understand about myself a little bit more, try to remember more, try to dig deeper. I always asked a lot of questions of myself, and as time went on, I was able to kind of get this connection back, which, even though this connection is there, sometimes you wonder, is it my imagination? I know it's not, but sometimes it feels like it is. So that's pretty much how everything came up. So, and I would practice here and there. I was working at a law firm one time. I'll give you an example here. I was working at a law firm one time, and this girl that was working there, this woman, she had shoulder pain, and it was so bad. And I remember I said, let me try something. And I remember I looked left and I looked right, and I put my hand over, like trying to be all like nobody can see me. And I did it for like 5 minutes and I walked away. And then I remember I came back about a half hour later, and I asked her, I said, how's your pain? She goes, oh my God, I forgot that I had it. And I was like, oh, this was 2000, when I came back from that trip to 2006, I was experimenting with the people in the office, and most of them were cool. Some of them were like, you're out of your mind. So we did what we could do. But it took a breakup And 2015, where I went to a holistic fair, talking to my friends, and I credit them all the time, Matt and Karen, thank you so much again. Yes, Heart of Oneness, Matt and Karen. I was looking around the room and I said, why am I not doing this? And they're laughing, like, that's what we've been asking ourselves. Why aren't you? I'm like, I don't know. And then they connected me with somebody in Staten Island. And then the rest is history. When they did their event in 2015, December 2015, that was my first time out of the chute as a healer. And I remember I didn't do any energy work, like really for a year or more before I started, but I knew I had to try something and I wanted to explore what could happen. So I was doing 10 or 20 minute sessions. I don't remember, I think 10, but man, what flowed through, what I was feeling in those moments, it was like really thick, really like, whoa, this is something, this feels amazing. Yeah. I know I would always get a little perspiration on my forehead when the energy was flowing. That was my tell. And it went well. I think I worked on 22 people that day. I just remember after everything was said and done, I didn't have a lot of stuff. Not like I do today, but I didn't have a lot of stuff. So all I had was the sandwich that I bought for lunch that I didn't get a chance to eat. And just the 2 chairs, and I sat there after everybody left. I sat there and I just ate my sandwich, but man, I was knocked out for the next 2 days. Now, she did it pretty much every quarter. So by the 3rd one, I did it all day, and then I was fine for work the next day. So that was my journey. That was the beginnings. I can get more detailed if you guys want, and I'll make a longer video if anybody's interested in that. I'll put that on YouTube. I figured because some of this stuff's going to have to go on YouTube anyway. I'm going to have to probably chop a lot of this up to part 1, 2, 3, 10. I don't even know. But let's see what else I have here. So I hope I answered a lot of questions there. So Wendy on TikTok saw this. What do you mean it's more than energy depending on the person? So when the energy flows through for people, it's everybody has a different frequency flowing through. I want to say I call them strands. So that's like energy connections. And so I guess essentially us as healers being the conduit, we're just the channel that it flows through. And so everybody always has different energy flowing through for themselves and how that needs to happen and how that needs to be. This is actually going to lead into a few other things that other people asked. At least I think so. So when the energy is flowing through for somebody now, as it flows through, I get crazy visuals, which I can get into later. I'm not trying to make this video that long, but I already have. But well, either way, it doesn't matter. When the energy flows through, what I perceive, how I interpret and what I perceive does not mean that it is gospel. Everybody perceives things differently all the time. How they see when they see it, they perceive it. Just like for me, when I say we, it is me and my people, my spirit team. I don't like that phrase. I like my people. The ones that have been with me as long as I can remember. So you want to call them spirit guides because, let's see, there are a couple people that are asking for their spirit guides. So how do you connect with your spirit guides? We have Michelle. she's asking me the name of her spirit guides, which I giggle. She's a friend of mine. I already gave her the story on that. And I'm going to tell you too. Stacy, how do I find my spirit guide and who are they? Well, I don't know. I know as humans, we like to know more information, right? We want to know why things happen, how they happen, who it happened with. And I'll tell you a quick story that this is why I don't think it's important that you know the names, but more so have trust. So for me, I went on a beautiful, this is years ago, this one woman, my friend Tree, thank you Tree, used to take us on amazing sound bath journeys before it was even called a sound bath. I mean, what this woman did, it was amazing. So she had one that we went to Egypt, and that was the journey. We go to Egypt and we get to know our spirit guides, like who they are. So I'm all excited. She's going through the meditation. I could see myself in the Nile, well, not in the water, but about to get on a boat in the Nile. But I could see the city bustling. I could see the pyramids. I mean, that was just so amazing and so cool. So now I'm in this boat, and, she's like, well, the person that's, rowing the boat is your guide. So just ask them their name. I'm like sitting there like, so, hey, well, what's your name? And well, I started seeing the face shift, kept shifting. The body kept shifting. I'm like, I don't know what this is. And then I heard this booming voice, probably the loudest thing I've ever heard in my head, that said, who we are does not matter. Only the message matters. And I felt this small. I'm like, okay, scared because I didn't know what just happened. But I took that, and for me, not for everybody, and I understand, but I took that as something that I should definitely not pursue. We want to know, but it's not that important. So who your spirit guides are, that's conversations that you can have with them. It's not for us to try to figure that for you. Don't get me wrong, if I could, and sometimes I might be able to, but that's if they want to be known. It's more about you as an individual, really creating that bridge for yourselves so you could have the communication. But call them Bob, call them Jane, call them whatever you want to call them, because ultimately the communication is between you and them, not what somebody else might say. So I just wanted to kind of put that out in a way, because I think it's an important thing that we as humans need to understand, that our own interpretation, our own connection, and how we move with that is probably the most important thing if you want to do anything in the spiritual realm. But there's a lot of people, they say they work with this one, they work with that one. My question to them is, how do you know it's who you say it is? And it's not like a dig on them. It's more of like, I'm actually curious, like, what makes you believe that you're working with Jesus? Is it just your intention? Because I get that, and that's cool. Or is it you're saying it because you want to sound like you're more grandiose than you actually are? And, sometimes in the spiritual world, it's like some people are making stuff up. I'm not saying everybody. And I have to watch my opinion or judgment on that too, because what somebody interprets is what they interpret. So there's that. Let's see. Is it fun for you during healing sessions? How does it feel to be an energy healer? This is Heidi from Facebook. Heidi, I love that question. Where'd you go? My doohickey decided to move on me. Bear with me 1 second.